Hello, everyone. Welcome on in. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. We're going to give folks our usual 30 seconds or so here to stream their way into the room, but thank you to always for those of you that are on time. Excellent. Welcome on in. Thank you, everyone. We're going to give probably about another 15 seconds or so before we get into the formal session, but thank you all for joining and coming in. All right, I think we've got a decent crowd here, and as always, folks will continue to join us through the next few minutes. So thank you all again for joining and taking the time this afternoon to meet with us and learn a little bit more about Emory, and today in particular about the financial aid process and how that looks and all the resources you'll have here at Emory. As you all know by now, my name's Anthony. I'm the director of admission here at the law school. So excited to be your host again this afternoon. Appreciate everybody who was able to make it out last night for our event here in DC. Hopefully that was helpful. And for those of you that will be able to join us for our admitted student reception tomorrow evening in New York City, we're excited to meet some of you in person. And of course, see you all for our admitted student day next Friday. So we're super excited and getting geared up for all of that. We'll continue our virtual programming this week. We've got a great lineup. We've got the financial aid session, which you're all in now. We'll have our alumni virtual hangout this evening with some of our alumni from the Texas market. So if you're interested in practicing in Texas at any point, that will be a great session and a good opportunity for you to meet some of our alumni and see what they've been up to and how their transition back to Texas went. We'll also have that California and West Coast alumni hangout on Friday as well. So join us for that. Tomorrow we'll have a awesome session with our professor, Nicole Morris, who runs the Tiger program. So if you got any interest in IP or tech law, that's a great program and a really unique program. So I encourage you to attend that as well and learn a little bit more there. And of course, the other session on Friday will be our mock class with Professor Lawrence. So if you're interested in health law or just want to get a sense of what the classroom environment and our professors are like here at Emory, Professor Lawrence is fantastic, and I highly encourage you to attend that session on Friday as well. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started with our session today. As always, if you have questions throughout the session, please use that chat box or the question and answer function. We'll be able to take all of your questions there and of course unmute you and allow you to ask the questions in front of the group here so everybody can hear the questions. We'll take questions at the end of the session. We've got about 15 to 20 minutes worth of presentation here before we get into things. But like I said, keep those questions coming in and type those in either the chat box or the question and answer, and we'll be able to get to those towards the end. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started with today's session. Like I said, we're going to learn a bit more about the financial aid process here at Emory and all of the resources that you'll have available to you. I'm excited to be joined today by Cindy Gershman, who's our Assistant Director for Financial Aid over at the Graduate Division in the Financial Aid Office. So she's going to walk you through a bunch of resources. Like I said, we've got a quick presentation that we'll go through. And yeah, we're happy to have it. So I'm going to hand it off to you, Cindy, if you maybe want to introduce yourself a little bit further, and I'll bring up your PowerPoint and we can get started.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Anthony. Welcome, everybody. I'm happy to have you here on the session. So hopefully you can get some of your questions answered and make the financial aid process a little more undaunting than it can be. I know a lot of students have not done this process on their own before, so this could be a very good learning session for you because you'll need to probably have financial aid for your 3 years while you attend Emory School of Law. So once again, my name is Cindy Gershman. I am the Associate Director of Graduate Professional Programs here at the Emory Financial Aid Office. On that first slide, you can see that's our website address. So if you need to look up anything, You have the address right there. A little bit of background on me. I've been in financial aid over 25 years, and I've been at Emory come this June for 15 years. So I'm very well versed in the financial aid arena, so I should be able to address hopefully all of your questions. So let's get started. Anthony, can we please go to the next slide? So this is just a checklist, and most of you probably have already done some of these steps. The first thing that you always need in order to be eligible for federal loans is the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student assistance for the Department of Education. Hopefully, like I said, most of you have already done this for the 22-23 academic year. But as I said previously, you need to do a new FAFSA every academic year. If we require any other documents, you will need to submit those to us. We will always send an email to you if we do need any additional documents. Once we do award you, you will receive your award notification via an email from our office. We're hoping to have those out within the next few weeks. I know on our website, we say that we start to release aid in April. So I know April 1st is coming up, but we say April. We don't give a specific date, so please just be patient with us. I also work with 2 advisors, so we're a team of 3, and we deal with 8 different schools at Emory, so we have a lot of students to get awarded. Once you are awarded, you will receive, based on the completion of the FAFSA, the federal direct unsubsidized loan in the amount of $20,500 for the year. That is the annual limit on that particular loan. Once you are awarded and accept your aid, you will need to do documents with the Department of Education. So you will need the federal direct unsubsidized master promissory note, or the MPN as we refer to it most commonly. And there's another document called direct loan entrance counseling. So those 2 documents you only need to complete once, which was your first year at Emory, because they are what they call serial notes. So you don't need to complete those out every single year. I gave you the website there for the Department of Education, so you can see that, studentaid.gov. And just to let you know, all 8 applicants must be registered for a minimum of 5 credit hours per term to receive federal aid. This is usually not something that law students usually need to pay attention to, but there are circumstances when you might have some issue come up where you have to reduce your credits. So just remember, 5 credits to receive financial aid, federal aid. Next slide, please. So, as I said before, we will award you the federal direct unsubsidized loan. I gave you the annual limit there again, $20,500. The current interest rate for this academic year is 5.38% fixed. We will not know the new interest rate until the end of May or beginning of June. So it could go up, it could go down, it could remain the same. We just will not know until that period of the end of May or beginning of June. Your Stafford or your federal loans have a 6-month grace period before you need to go into repayment. So hopefully your last day of enrollment would be your graduation date. So 6 months after that date is when you have to start repaying your loans. Now, we process, like I said before, the unsubsidized loan based on the receipt of your FAFSA and your admit status. Next slide, please. Okay, you also have some additional financing options. So depending upon what your financial needs are while you're attending Emory, you may need to apply for additional funding. This can be done through either the direct Graduate Plus loan with the Department of Education. Graduate Plus loans are credit-based. So basically, they're just looking at 3 items to make sure that you're eligible. So it's a good idea if you know that you're going to need a Grad Plus loan to make sure that your credit is up to date and you don't have any items on your credit report that would take you out of being eligible for the Grad Plus loan. So make sure you don't have any late payments. They are also looking, have you ever declared bankruptcy, or have you ever defaulted on any other Title IV aid, which is any federal aid? Now, the Graduate Plus loan does not have an annual limit other than the cost of attendance, or the COA. And we'll go into an example, I believe, on some upcoming slides. There are also private educational loans that you might want to look into as well. Most banks are private educational lenders. They are also credit-based, but just like a mortgage, a private educational lender, they are going to review your whole credit history and your FICO score. I cannot give you interest rates on private loans because it is going to depend on that review of your credit. Next slide, please. So here, as I said, is an example of the cost of attendance. So if the cost of attendance for the whole year, meaning fall and spring, is $91,000, and I'm just giving you a simple math example, just so you can grasp the concept. So if all your other aid comes to $20,000, what you have left up until that total cost of attendance is $71,000. So that would be the maximum that you would be able to apply for either a Grad Plus loan or a private educational loan. For the Grad Plus loan with the Department of Education, I gave you the website there because you need to apply directly with the Department of Education. As soon as you put in your application, they will let you know whether you passed credit or not. For the upcoming aid year of 22-23, we do not open the cycle with the Department of Education to apply for a Grad Plus until the first week of June. If you are interested in a private educational loans, you also have to initiate that process with the lender of your choice. We do have a lender list on our website, but I gave you the exact link there if you want to look into private loans. It may not list every institution or agency that offers private loans, but this is a list of people that we've communicated if they wanted to be on our lender list, and to make sure that they were legitimate lenders as well. Next slide, please. So talking more about the unsubsidized loan, once again, we will award you your full unsubsidized loan. It will be split between fall and spring. You cannot receive unsubsidized loans above the annual limit. So once again, that $20,500. And it's a good idea to try to develop a budget to see what your circumstances are and how much you would need to borrow. Next slide, please. So now we're going to talk about, you've actually been awarded, you have accepted your loans, you've done all the necessary and required paperwork. Any funds that you obtain will be dispersed into Emory on the evening of the scheduled disbursement date, provided you've met all the requirements. So once again, obviously you need to be enrolled, all the required documents, as I just mentioned. Funds are dispersed per term, and this is also how you'll be billed by student accounts and billing. And we now call them SABO for a short acronym there. Now, just keep in mind, remember, funds dispersed on the evening of the scheduled disbursement date. Because a lot of students will see that the date might be, for argument's sake, August 20th. So the funds come in that evening. The next day, they will post to your student account. Any funds that are applied will go towards your tuition and fees. Anything above those charges on your student account will be refunded by SABO via direct deposit. So we do recommend everybody set up a direct deposit account with the university. And once again, once funds are posted on your student account, they are usually available in your bank account 2 to 3 business days after your refund has been processed. So this is very important, and I'm going to go over it again. Disbursement date means the date that the funds come into the school. not the date the funds are in your bank account. Next slide, please. So just to give you a distinction, the Office of Financial Aid and Student Accounts, or SABO, are two separate offices. So the Office of Financial Aid collects the required documents, we review your eligibility, and we will award you the loans that you are eligible for. SABO handles your student account. I guess I left a word out there, sorry. Handles your student account and processes your refund if applicable. Next slide, please. Some other important information. When we send you emails, please do not ignore them because we're sending them for a reason. As I mentioned before, if we need any additional documentation in order to review your file and get you awarded, we will send you emails. We will also send you emails during the year to prompt you when certain things can be either applied for or to let you know disbursement dates are coming up, so on and so forth. Once again, as I said before, the FAFSA is required every year. So it really is advantageous for you to submit that FAFSA in a timely fashion. The actual cycle for the FAFSA opens up October 1st of every year for the next academic year. So in other words, this October 1st, you would be able to start your FAFSA or complete your FAFSA for the 23-24 academic year. Another important piece of information, if your enrollment status changes, you must notify our office, as changes in enrollment can mean aid adjustments. And please also contact us with any questions or concerns. Next slide, please. So that was faster than I thought it would be. So any questions? We have a general email account for graduate students. So if you have questions after this session or at any time during the year or any time during your enrollment, please email us at the gradfineaid@emory.edu address. We do this for a few reasons. The most important reason, once again, I work with a team of 2 other advisors. So if any of us should be out of the office, on vacation, calling sick, and you have a question, we want to make sure we get back to you in a timely fashion. We usually reply to emails and voicemails within 24 to 48 hours. However, at certain times during the year, it may take us a little bit longer. And certain times of the year actually is now. Like I said before, we are dealing with 8 different schools, so we have a lot of students to award and a lot of students to answer questions when they email or call us. Right now, my 3rd advisor is fairly new, so she doesn't have an alpha split yet. But currently, by the first letter of your last name, that will let you know who your advisor is. So if it's F to O, I'm your advisor currently. The other alpha, A to E, and P to Z is Jennifer Lyles. I gave you our physical address there. Our office is open to see students if you are on campus. I gave you our telephone number if you need to phone us. I also gave you the website from our financial aid website that will bring you exactly to the page for law school information. We also take video appointments, and I guess it kind of got cut off there on the PowerPoint. But if you just email us at gradfineaid@emory.edu, and when we reply back, under our signature, there will be a little hyperlink that says schedule an appointment with me. So you can contact us that way, and then we can respond back to you, and then you can set up an appointment. I think that might be the end, Anthony. Am I correct? Faster than?
You are correct. Yeah, excellent. So I am sure there are going to be a lot of questions because I know this is a popular topic to discuss. Before we get into questions, I see a few coming into the Q&A. Please keep those questions coming. We've got plenty of time here. We'll stay on as long as we have questions that we can go through. I did want to clarify, I think, 2 points really quickly before we get into questions. Number one, I saw questions about your scholarship. Any questions regarding scholarship, please direct those directly to me. Myself and the law school, we handle all of the merit scholarships that will come in. The Office of Financial Aid, all they do is post those awards to your account for us. Any questions about scholarship amounts or eligibility, please contact me directly, and we're happy to have that conversation directly with you. The other thing I would caveat here as well, I know financial aid can be very personal, based on personal finances and background. So if you're not comfortable discussing that in an open forum like this, again, I would encourage you to email that gradfineaid at emory.edu directly, and set up a time or submit your questions by email to the financial aid team. So again, just a distinction there. Anything scholarship related, please email myself and the law school, and we'll make sure we handle that. Anything dealing with FAFSA and student loans, you can talk with your financial aid advisor or the office in general to have those questions answered as well. So just wanted to split that up as well, so you don't get bounced around between emails too much here. So with that, we'll go ahead and start taking questions from the field. So we'll start. We'll be able to unmute you and allow you to get in front of the group to ask a question. So we're going to start with the Q&A. Of course, as we have more time or as these questions are being asked, please continue to send the questions in, and we will get through as many as we possibly can while we still have questions. So let's start off with Elena. Elena, good to see you. I know you had a question about some FAFSA loans, so the floor is yours.
Hi, good to see you too. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to help us out here. I was actually wondering if the cost of attendance limit for the Grad Plus loans takes into consideration the 20,500 from the FAFSA loans. Is that considered, like, does that subtract in the same way that scholarships do, or is that something separate entirely?
Hi, Elena. It's nice. I was going to say see you, but nice to hear from you. Yes, as I said in the presentation, whatever the total cost of attendance is, less any other aid that you get. So it could be a combination of a law scholarship and your 20,500 unsubsidized loan. That has to be deducted from the total cost of attendance to get the amount that you are actually eligible for either the Grad Plus or a private loan.
Right, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great, excellent. Thanks, Elena. Appreciate the question. We're going to go over to Lily next. Lily had a question about similar kind of thing, but also about family issues. So, Lily, good to see you, and the floor is yours.
Good to see you, Anthony, and thank you, Cindy. So my question is, if your spouse is a full-time Emory employee, any special financial aid apply to that situation?
Hi, Lily. It's so nice to meet you. Your spouse would need to check with Human Resources because there are different tiers and different requirements as far as how long has the employee been employed at Emory to see if possibly you would be eligible to receive the courtesy scholarship. So I would direct you to direct your spouse to contact HR for that information.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, exactly. And if there's any eligibility there, they would work with the Office of Student Accounts to make sure all of those benefits get applied as well. So they can facilitate you on that conversation.
Okay.
Great, excellent. All right, thank you, Lily. Maxwell, looks like you had your hand raised as well. I couldn't see a question, but the floor is yours. You should be able to unmute yourself and ask the question, and good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you as well. Sorry, I joined about 2 minutes late, so sorry if this was already covered. But I completed my FAFSA, and it said that I should be eligible for the 20,500. direct loan. But I was wondering how A, do I go about claiming that? And then B, what is at what point, if I need the additional supplemental loan, at what point before the semester starts should I be applying for that?
Okay, hi Maxwell, it's nice to meet you. In reference to the direct unsubsidized loan, with the completion of the FAFSA, we will automatically award you the federal unsubsidized in the amount of $20,500 for the year. That amount gets split evenly, so you get half that in August for the fall term and the second half in January for the spring term. There will be documents you'll need to fill out with the Department of Education that are required. But we'll be sending you emails and letting you know, especially once you go in and accept your loans, you'll be getting emails to let you know, okay, you've accepted your loan, now you have to take these steps. As far as applying for additional financing, if you're going to use the Federal Graduate Plus loan, you have to apply directly with the Department of Education, and that can be done on the same website that you completed your FAFSA on. However, we do not open the cycle for the upcoming academic year of 22-23 until the first week of June. Did that answer your question?
Yes, that does. In regards about the 20,500, how it's directly deposited, is there any paperwork that I need to fill out with the Department of Education now, or is that forthcoming?
That will be forthcoming, because first we have to get you awarded. Once you are awarded, you will receive an email notification, award notification from our office that will let you know you've been awarded. These are the steps to go into OPUS, the system that we all work on, to view and go through the acceptance process. So once again, once you accept the federal unsubsidized loan, we'll send you an email and let you know there are 2 documents that are required with the Department of Education. There is a master promissory note for the unsubsidized loan. And there's another document called entrance counseling. And if you should apply for the Grad Plus loan, there will be a separate master promissory note for that loan as well.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
Great, thanks, Maxwell. Appreciate it. Gloria, we'll bring up Gloria next. She had a question about late fees. So Gloria, good to see you, and go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
You're all good.
Thank you guys so much for having this today. You mentioned something about late fees affecting, I believe it was the Grad Plus loans. I was wondering if you know, I know that's probably on the federal end, but I was wondering if you had any idea of how much that would affect. I know that I have one late fee. I'm not sure if that will be like a massive hindrance or if there's something that I should do about that.
Oh, hi, Gloria. It's nice to meet you. So when you're talking about late fees, you're talking about having a delinquent account on a credit card or some other.
I have one late payment on my credit card, right? I was moving countries and I had like a situation.
Okay.
So
I can't definitely say because it's the Department of Ed that runs the credit check. So
right.
I would assume that it would be, when did that late payment, when did that occur? Was it recently?
Yes, I just recently moved home from South Korea, and so I got confused with the dates, and it was probably like within the last 6 months.
Okay. Is the account current now?
Yes.
Then I believe, and once again, I don't do the credit check, but
Right.
I believe that you probably would be fine because they just want to see, do you have any, late payments from the day that you apply?
I see.
I think you should be fine, but once again, it's the Department of Education that runs the credit.
Right.
If by chance you do get denied, you have 2 options with the Department of Education. You can appeal the credit decision and state your case and see if they accept that.
Yeah.
Or as a last resort, you can always apply with a cosigner.
I see. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome, Gloria.
Excellent. Thanks, Gloria. Next, let's go over to Rena, who also had a question, FAFSA related as well. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for this. So my question is about the expected family contribution calculation on the FAFSA. I can't really tell whether there are any practical implications for like significant differences from year to year. The reason why I'm asking is because in 2021, I was just a lot more aggressive about like maxing out retirement account contributions, different things to get like my adjusted gross income down. But the FAFSA was based on like my 2020 income tax return. I'm wondering whether, again, like that matters at all on the graduate level.
Well, first of all, just for a clarification, the estimated family contribution is once again a calculation done by the Department of Education when you fill in your financial information and demographic information on the FAFSA. For graduate or professional students, there are no need-based loans or grants through the federal government. So the EFC really does not come into play at all. The unsubsidized is not need-based, so it doesn't make a difference whether your EFC is $1 or $1 million. It will not have an effect.
Okay, that's what it seemed like. Thank you so much. That was helpful.
You're welcome, Rena.
Excellent. Thanks, Rena. So it looks like we had one more question in the queue from Peyton. So we're going to bring Peyton up. But if folks have other questions, we still have time. Feel free to get those in the next minute or so, and we can get you up. Otherwise, we'll wrap up after Peyton. But Peyton, good to see you as always, and the floor is yours.
Yeah. Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you all for doing this. My question was just, when is student financial aid typically dispersed to student accounts? Is it typically in enough time to get a refund to purchase, books for the semester and different things like that?
Hi, Peyton. It's nice to meet you. Disbursements usually come into the school approximately 10 days before classes start. So if you were on for our presentation, you can see that disbursements come in on the evening of the scheduled disbursement date. The following day, they post to your student account, and then the Office of Student Accounts and Billing will start processing refunds. This process usually goes very quickly. We encourage everybody, please sign up for direct deposit because that's the most efficient and effective way to get refunds out. So once the funds post to your student account, you could probably say within 3 to 5 business days, the funds would be in your bank account. However, there may be times there might be a slight delay. Once again, in August, basically every school in the university, so it's the 8 graduate schools, the undergraduate college, they're all getting disbursements approximately the same time. So sometimes there might be a delay of a day or two, but I would encourage you to check your student account. Once that disbursement date has passed, see if your refund was processed, and then you can gauge on when the funds would be in your bank account. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Peyton.
Great. Excellent. Thanks, Peyton. So we had a question come in from Fred as well, just about kind of differences in loans and some advice there. So Fred, good to have you up, and the floor is yours.
So I had 2 questions. First, is there a situation where graduate plus loans have better rates or are better than the federal unsubsidized loans? And secondly, does the school do any financial aid on its own? Because I know you mentioned that it did through the federal government doesn't do any need-based financial aid. I didn't know if the school it did on its own. Thank you.
Hi, Fred. It's nice to meet you. The graduate plus loan or any federal loan has a fixed interest rate. The private loans, you may be able to get an interest rate that's lower because a private loan will do a full-blown credit review. So FICO score and credit history. So I cannot even quote you an interest rate for a private loan. You have to do that legwork kind of by yourself. But there are some advantages to the federal loans. First of all, they have some protections just in case, God forbid, somebody becomes disabled. Sometimes you can get your loans forgiven depending upon what the situation is. You also, the minimum repayment for federal loans is 10 years, but there are several different repayment options. A lot of the students take the federal Grad Plus because going into the career that you're going into, If you work for a nonprofit agency, so if you go into a district attorney's office or something similar to that, after several years of repayment, you may be able to get whatever balance you owe on your federal loans forgiven. So those are some of the advantages of using the federal programs. If you are interested in the private loans, I mean, these are the questions, number one, that I would ask. First of all, of course, you want to know what the interest rate is. You want to know, is that fixed or is it variable? Because if it's variable, that can fluctuate for the life of the loan until you pay it off. And then what are their repayment terms? How many years do you get to repay the loan that you might take out with a private loan company?
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, and Fred, to your second question regarding the need-based, unfortunately at Emory we only offer the merit-based awards for scholarships, and so there wouldn't be any need-based opportunities there. I also wanted to add in a clarification as well for Cindy's. The program she's talking about is called LRAP, which is the Loan Repayment Assistance Program. That is available for certain students, particularly in the legal field, who go into government or 501c3 work after graduation. We've got a ton of resources available on that if you want to check out and see if you would potentially be eligible for that. There are a lot of criteria that you do need to meet in regards to being eligible for loan forgiveness. If you're able to join us for the public interest session that was held earlier this week, Dean Sheffy talked in a lot of detail about how exactly the school manages that and how they can work with you and what the qualifications are for that. The recording is up on the website now, so if you weren't able to make it, I would highly suggest going back and watching that session. You can just skip to the session about LRAP. We also have really extensive details on our website as well, if you want to get a good sense of what that looks like. But that is a really great option for those of you looking to go into those type of work and maintain that eligibility. It's a great option to have some loan forgiveness, if not 100% loan forgiveness after graduation as well. So that could certainly be an advantage to those federal loans, because your private loans most likely might not be eligible. So it's good to have that in mind as well.
Can I add something to that? Besides the LRAP program, there's also the federal government also has the public service loan forgiveness program. So I don't know what all the requirements are for the LRAP. That may be a little more stringent from what I'm understanding. So there's also a federal option for possible loan forgiveness as well.
Yeah, so I think those are the built-in protections, and like Cindy was saying, there's other protections there as well for your loan. So excellent. So I didn't see any other questions come in, so I think we'll wrap up the session right here. So I just want to say thank you very much to Cindy for joining and explaining all of these resources and just kind of a little bit more about how FAFSA and these loans work. We know this is a super important part of looking at law school and enrolling in graduate school in general. So hopefully you found it informative. Any questions after today, like I said, feel free to email me directly. I'm happy to discuss scholarships as well as make any connections over to Cindy's office if you have further questions about FAFSA or anything like that. Or email their office directly. Again, that's gradfineaid at emory.edu. And they'll be able to connect with you and work there. But you'll definitely be receiving emails and updates from them as you get your FAFSA in. So look out for those. Make sure you respond and take care of all your paperwork. But it was good to see everybody. We hope you have a good rest of the afternoon. Hopefully we'll see some of you this evening for our Texas alumni hangout or throughout some of our other sessions as well. As always, email me directly with any questions. We hope you have a great rest of your day. Welcome to Emory, and we'll see you all around soon. So thank you, everyone.
Bye, thank you.